if I'm an engineering manager, I'd want to know what are the problems. I want to know what's hindering the business at the minute and what's hindering the architecture and the infrastructure from working as best as it can. And what's the blue sky is Nirvana state for us, come in and be part of that. So I don't think this is amazing, actually. I think the way they sell the business is really quite good. And then it just falls off here. And it's like, you'll be working on being an engineering leader. You will need to be quite good at engineering leading and have some caring about data, DevOps, and Kubernetes. That's it. So like, sell the stack, sell the problems, sell the future state, get people kind of pumped about that intellectual challenge is kind of what I'd say here. Hey, this is Gareth Webb, and you're listening to Breakout, a show that cuts through the hiring noise. Here, you'll get an unfiltered view on what early and growth stage companies are doing so that you can take their best practices, processes, and frameworks and implement them to help you build teams more confidently.
Gareth, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Very good. The weeks are flying by. Summer is almost over. So I'd like things to slow down a little bit, but it's good. Been busy. Market seems to be improving week on week, I'd say, which is good.
Cool. Let's get ready to jump into our topic for today. So we are in episode 4 of our mini series, Scout This. I got a little company that I wanted to dive into. I'm going to give some headlines on that. Sent over open jobs. I think we're going to go through the engineering manager that's open today, talk through job description. So the company for today is a Series B company called EvenUp. They're a legal tech company. They're helping attorneys and plaintiffs achieve better legal outcomes through some AI-powered products they have. They're building. Essentially, they're able to kind of read and summarize medical data records and help generate demand letters for the plaintiffs. Recently closed Series B in April. Total funding is at $65 million. The Series B, I believe, was just over $50 million. They're valued at $325 million right now. Series B funding going to scale their AI product offering, what they currently have, and they're also working on building the first ever AI personal injury legal assistant called Liddy. So it'll help summarize legal cases, generate legal documents, et cetera. I'm sure a lot of plans for that. It looks like their customer base currently is a little over 300 law firms across the country. They've got a team size of right around 130. And from what I can tell, about 19 total open jobs across pretty much every function right now. So I'm definitely in pretty strong growth mode. So with that, I will turn it over to you. Let me know if there's anything else you need from me. I think I gave you the information you have you pull up, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, cool. Good. Yeah, an interesting one. So just to recap, so they basically help companies or law firms build claims based on medical records and medical data. And they are obviously running AI in the background to help basically analyze what those conditions are and what they should be how they should be compensated for them. And then they build the case documents as a result of understanding all those case points.
Yep.
In a very short, yeah. So it's raw injury files into annotated docs, into claim documents, like demand packages, which I would imagine is big business, you know, being a Brit who's lived in the US. And we're going to go with we've picked engineering manager position, right? So
yeah, I think we're going to switch it up a little bit. We've done marketing product.
Yeah.
So throw in engineering.
It's a very technical product, a very technical company, very data heavy. So I'd expect a particularly focused spec here from these folks. So San Fran engineering, full-time remote. So it looks like they're cool with remote. Let's start with just like what is going to grab attention. So venture-backed generative. So they are a VC-backed generative AI startup. Ensures injury claim victims are awarded the full value of their claims, expanding the 100 billion plus in awards granted to injury victims every year. So this is in bold. Every year, the legal system has made it difficult for millions of ordinary people to seek justice, especially for folks without means or come from underrepresented backgrounds. Our vision is to help these injury victims get the justice they deserve, irrespective of income, demographic, and quality of their legal representation. So that's obviously like a great use case of technology. Like we all know that if people have got money in the bank, they can hire great lawyers who've got teams who get lots of this work done to make the more compelling case that people cannot argue against. So that's a great case, as we discussed a second ago, for technology being able to be consistent, force for good, to get things done better and more cost effectively than teams of very expensive lawyers. So this is good, right? This is obviously you're trying to capture people's imagination as to the mission and the purpose of the product. Operate across all types of injury cases, from police brutality to child abuse. So I mean, yeah, you're going pretty heavy in there in terms of like, yeah, it's not just truck accidents. So you're going right in at the pretty sort of dark end. But I mean, yeah, these things go on. Our machine learning driven software empowers attorneys to accurately assess the value of these cases by doing core part of their workflow, legal drafting, and enable them to secure larger settlements in record time. So yeah, this is doing work that maybe people don't really want to do, or they don't always do it consistently well. So it's great. There's a little bit of a success. So some selling points here, nice and early. Revenue is important at the moment. 0 to 10 million in ARR in less than 2 years. That is incredibly impressive. We've raised 65 million, which is also impressive. Probably, should be delivering good revenue if that's the case from some of the best investors in the world, which is Bessemer Bain, Signal Fire, various others. So yeah, good things in there. A strong tech team, good backgrounds, good pedigree. Yeah, all in all good, right? They're selling on their brand, their association, and data, numbers, revenue, which is timely because people care about that stuff now.
I feel like this one checks all the boxes in terms of what you've kind of typically gone through in our previous episodes.
Yeah.
Selling, like you said, the mission and product early, and kind of selling the vision, providing numbers and proof early on, and even bolding those to really stand out.
Yeah, I'd even say like they could probably go bigger and just, have separate sections, like, not to get too clickbaity, but like, people like to look at one thing, have a space, look at the next thing, have a space, look at the next thing. So I'd say here, bullet pointing out some of these, like, so mission, like headline, like mission, product, purpose, team, data points, investors. Like I used to not love it when companies used to sell their celebrity investors, but it's just part of the way things are. And I think it's not a terrible thing to do. Like it just builds confidence for people, right? But this in particular position is selling to an engineering manager. It's wanting an engineering manager to be engaged. They are always they're very good BS detectors, right? The engineering managers, like they're not easily sold to, is what I would say. From our experience, they like to make their own decisions around like the viability and the purpose and do they like it or not. They tend to have a list of things they don't want to work on as much as they do, I think, a list of things they do want to work on. So let's quickly look at this. What you will be working on: providing guidance, career development, and mentorship to your team, collaborate in a multidisciplinary team, solve problems, prepare to jump in, do some hands-on engineering to get work done, maintain a culture of discipline and engineering that is directive and guidance, create space for engineers to grow and flourish. So really looking for a leader, right? They want some hands-on code review or engineering, actual coding, but working on roadmaps, providing business value, champion the technical vision of the product, duties and responsibilities outlined. So there's some stuff here that I'd say could be, there's some real generic type stuff here. This isn't amazing, but it's fine. Basically mentoring, building, and working on roadmap, unblocking team members. I think this could be a bit more compelling. And then what you need, so 5+ years of back-end engineering experience with relational databases. Okay, it doesn't say what databases, that's fine. Not at this point. I'm interested in making the world a fairer place. Okay, that's basically saying you have to give a shit about the mission, which is fine. You can assess for that. Have several years of industry experience, shipping production-ready code. I mean, this is all stating the obvious, which to me is a little bit boring. I understand a high-value, high-quality code base. Simple, understandable code is efficient, reasonably free of bugs, and maintainable. Yes, good. But again, stating the obvious. Enjoy navigating technical challenges. Can communicate technical ideas, including data engineering and DevOps. Okay, so here's a bit more stuff. I think they should go into this a little bit more. Like, obviously, it's a very data-heavy, text-heavy, generative AI infrastructure. Like, I would want to know, if I was a really technical engineering leader, I'd want to know what that consists of, what the problem they're facing, what they want it to look like, how can I help do that? And I think that's, there's a tiny bit here on probably what is a lot more in terms of like the scope and the inputs required for being successful here. Enjoy owning projects start to finish. Kubernetes is a plus. Cool. So this is just not massively technical. This first bit's fine. I feel like they've kind of just got this done rather than really like you can sell through the detail with engineering and engineering positions. If I'm an engineering manager, this isn't huge. Like I'd want to know what are the problems. I want to know what's hindering the business at the minute and what's hindering the architecture and the infrastructure from working as best as it can. And what's the blue sky, here's Nirvana state for us, come in and be part of that. So I don't think this is amazing, actually. I think the way they sell the business is really quite good. And then it just falls off here. And it's like, you'll be working on being an engineering leader. You will need to be quite good at engineering leading and have some caring about data, DevOps, and Kubernetes. That's it. So like sell the stack, sell the problems, sell the future state, get people kind of pumped about that intellectual challenge is kind of what I'd say here.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like that's been done. So that's my criticism.
It brings me back to our conversation that you had with Jen in a recent episode, just around scorecards and kind of building out like what the outcomes are and really planning that out ahead. That should be an input into what this job description turns into. It gives you a much clearer idea of, okay, what will I be in charge of doing and building? And like you said, what are the problems that need to be solved?
Yeah, like team sizes, how many teams, reporting into who, problems, how many, like what's uptime like, how many bugs are there, like on average, and what's the infrastructure? It doesn't say anything about the infrastructure there. They might have a separate section on that, to be fair, like in careers or the About Us section. Share my screen again, see if we can have a quick look on the website. So, I mean, here is the website, claim bigger, settle faster, company. So look at company. So it's got the open roles section there. This is all great. 1,000 demands made a month, 300 law firms, 500 billion in claimed damages, 100 star. So some good numbers there for people. About the team. So it's got a bit here about engineering and data science. So look at open roles. There's some other positions here. I know we're not necessarily doing that. Interestingly, Toronto, senior and intermediate machine learning engineer. So this likely may have more on the tech stack and infrastructure. NLP, no, nothing. Quick look here. Back end, full stack engineering, build impactful technology. So there's the same stuff here, right? This is quite good. Like percentage of time spent in your first year, system design, code, shipping, 25% collaborating with stakeholders, lunch and learns more. It's not bad. Again, it's just not much there. Maybe, I don't know if they're being protective over their stack or they just haven't thought about doing it. So that's big. They are looking for sourcing specialist. So they're obviously trying to build internal pipelines. Yeah, it's not bad. None of it's bad. It's just not expert level sort of how to attract top level folks. They're clearly not going to be hiring average people with the amount of money they've raised and the number of positions they've got. So yeah, just say they need to go deeper.
I was trying to look on LinkedIn and see if there was any information on traction that we could see here.
What of the position?
Yeah, just applicants. I mean, it's so hard to tell on LinkedIn. There are 155 applicants.
They won't get these people, like if it's real
with that number.
Or just with the spec as is. They haven't got any comp actually on their ads, which is up to them. But like if they're in certain areas that they probably want to try and do that, they won't get sort of depth or quality of the people they're probably going to want through LinkedIn ads, is my guess. They might do for commercial and more junior positions, but not for these engineering roles. So that they'll definitely have some sort of internal or agency or search partners. Nice. Okay, good. So let's have a look here. So current engineering manager. So again, repeating on what we say all the time internally and what we've said on a couple of these episodes before is going like super tight, super early. So yeah, if we're a client or we're trying to find the best matches, we're thinking the top 20 people in 20 minutes or the top 50 people in 50 minutes. So we want to identify those pools or clusters of talent really early and really, really fast. And so let's stay on engineering manager. Obviously, LinkedIn has these like subcategories, which some of these are not obviously appropriate because it's like non-software engineering, division manager, corporate engineering. Like you never see these. So actually just get rid of most of these. Just keep it as engineering manager. And that's kind of it. I'll just leave it at that. I might put like lead software engineer, software team lead, just because depending on the size of the org, and maybe principal. Because actually, when you read this spec, it said 5+ years of experience, I think it was, or let me quickly check it. Engineering, 5+ years of back end, 2 to 3 years of like being an intermediate. So again, leveling is a weird one. Like everyone's got different views on that. And I think most companies will look at like, okay, one engineering manager may have overseen 2, 3, 4 people, but some principals or team leads may have overseen 4, 5, 6 and or bigger infrastructures. So I don't really think that's something that everybody should obsess about. It should be what they've actually done. Location is remote or SF. So, I mean, again, if we're going super tight and let's see what the client ideally would want, let's just look at San Francisco first. Current. Okay. Again, this spec doesn't give me enough, right? Like if I was building this position out in our platform, I would struggle to know enough about the spec and the requirements and what's going to drive a really successful search criteria. But I'm going to kind of interpret with the only thing that's really mentioned is like obviously team leading, management of like shipping code, data engineering and DevOps. Obviously it's generative AI product. So I think if we look in here for some of these keywords, look at like AI or DevOps, this is going to bring up too many people, I think. Data engineering, backend, and then just a little bit like thinking about some of the company, kind of what the product is and what it does. It's going to be a very API heavy product in terms of like infrastructure. I mean, lots of API, lots of integrations, but let's just leave it like this for now. A year's experience. It says 5+ years, but I don't think that's going to be quite realistically. Let's go 7 to 15. 7 to 20 years in current company. Again, like this is a weird one, right? Somebody could have just joined a company and it not be great. They could have been there for a long time. Our clients typically want people who've been having solid stints. So look, this is just me thinking about some of our particular customers and how they operate. But if we also think there's people in their first 2, 3 years there waiting to vest or doing quite well, or, heads down in the kind of early, resume building or, and getting their head down into the product. So if we say, okay, let's look at years in current company, like 3 to 6 years, let's go 2 to 6. It doesn't mention anything about having a computer science background or anything like that. I am going to do that though, just because I feel like this isn't a very technical product. Clients of ours do often index in on computer science, computational science, computer engineering. So I've gone in with technical and look at bachelor's. So I've gone engineering manager, software team lead, principal, San Francisco, AI or DevOps or data, more back end, industries. Most people in software put software. LinkedIn hasn't quite. Again, this is another problem with LinkedIn search criteria. It hasn't rolled out the same industry categories across all users yet. So I could be putting certain inputs in that doesn't match up to what people have in their profile. Even within our team, there's on the same license, we don't have the same. So this is a problem with hiring. Again, in general, there's like different interpretations, different inputs, different retrieval methods, even within if you use the same Boolean structures and stuff like that. Like it doesn't always work. The other thing I'm going to put in is legal services, just in case there's engineers working on legal technology. Probably not, but it might be useful.
Or if the company would have provided other, like you said, more specifics on tools or other places they would like to see experience from, I think would help in this case, right?
Yeah. So again, one of the qualification kind of like onboarding kickoff type questions that we'd run through is like which type of companies to target, which ones to avoid, where is highly translatable product or technology type that is going to have, you're buying in value. You're bringing in people to obviously lead and oversee people and monitor and manage and develop, but you're also buying in value and like mind share. So we could go in here and do top scores, it's a controversial statement, but we do get asked like top 20, top 50. I've had that recently with a stealth mode client of ours looking for very similar profile to this, just a bit more hands-on, but they like want top 50 schools only. They're going to have to pay, and it's not necessarily as great engineers who've not been to top schools, but I'm just telling the truth about what people ask for. Company sizes, so I don't think there's going to be people. Again, I'm going to try and find the best fit first. I think we're going to be looking at startups and scale-ups. So I'm going to go start at 50, which is probably Series A, B, and below 50, you've got quite flat end structures, and then I'm just kind of max out 1,000 for now, and just again see what number I get. Okay, I've got 93 people coming with this criteria. Top one is an engineering manager from an insurance technology company. It's actually like a good fit, has worked at one of the big tech companies in the past, so it could be good. Another one, Bay Area, strong college, worked for a scale up, staff data engineer, moved into engineering manager. So I feel quite good about this. Like there's healthcare technology company here, which obviously translates quite well, I think, with this kind of insurance technology, legal technology. Has worked in pharma tech and healthcare tech, DevOps, data engineering manager, been an engineering manager for a year. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. 93 people from a very constrained search.
So then your kind of methodology would be to kind of start there and then widen out. And then I know you've mentioned this on other episodes too, but LinkedIn is just like kind of a demonstration where that would be just one piece in the toolkit of all the other places that's theoretically being looked at and sourced, and making sure that we're kind of uncovering all parts of the market, right?
I am basically saying if I was an internal talent acquisition person trying to do this myself, they're not going to have an internal database. They will not have like a real stack or an infrastructure of sourcing technology and tools. Not yet. I don't think this company, they might have access to certain engineering specific searching capability, but if they didn't, they might have a LinkedIn license, So this is giving them 93 results. I'd want to cover all these individuals. The first thing I would then do after that, in terms of broadening out, is get rid of San Francisco only, because they have asked for remote potentially, and just put in United States. So remote, current, and that's still pretty good. That takes me up to 906. So it's still quite well constrained search. So I've gone from 100 to 900 by removing Bay Area to US wide with the same criteria. So I'm not going to be spamming anybody. I'm not going to be wasting my time. This is like a good use of my time, and this will probably take me from the first. It'll take me an hour to go through the first 100 folks, and then once I've got that kind of like calibrated, then looking at this next a total list of 900 or so, an additional 800 could take me a day of like, good selection, a review, and then tidying up there, and then looking at who to make sure I want to outreach to, running some of these past the hiring manager, calibrating against level or background or question marks around, that looks okay, or don't like that business for whatever reason. They'll know more about Stack as well, so they can probably go in here and look at additional keywords or checking some of these skills here. So if it's, for argument's sake, they said Kubernetes, didn't they? So if we stick Kubernetes in as a skill, that takes us down to 107. So these are
from the 906.
Yeah. So that's how I do it, and then there might be nuanced preferences internally. There might be some constraints from comp that we don't know about, where they'll avoid Bay Area or Seattle or New York, and they might have, internal comp bandings already, given their Series B. But yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So the first search gave me 90 odd. Then by going US wide, taking off the constraints for San Francisco, took me to 1,000, 800, wasn't it? 900. So it's not, that might sound like a lot of people, but that's 900 to go after versus like thousands of inbound potentially. That will be a waste of time. So that 1,000 that I've identified,
you said it too.
Is like, I'd rather spend 2 weeks trying to engage in the 1,000 there who are what we want, versus tail wagging dog and dealing with what's coming at us and trying to decipher whether there is a fit versus we know that 900 has most likely got good fit. See what happens.
Great. Gareth, thank you for your time. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Breakout. If you want to hear more, make sure to hit subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast to be the first to get notified when future episodes are released. If you like this show or want to share feedback, please leave a review so we can keep improving and share the word with other leaders in the tech talent space. If you have suggestions for topics we should cover, please feel free to reach out to either myself or Gareth.